My name is Valora. I am making this video because I've had some crazy health experiences in my life, and I kind of want to raise awareness because it's like one of the things that I was born with that caused like a lot of issues for me is called scoliosis, congenital scoliosis. Those of you who don't know what scoliosis is, it's basically just a curvature of the spine, so your spine isn't straight, it's like curved in some weird way. I was born with it, which is what congenital means, and it has caused like a crazy life for me. So I guess starting from when I can remember, I was born with it. So as a kid, I was never really allowed to do like a lot of activities that the other kids would do. My scoliosis was caused by being born with too many vertebrae, so they just like didn't know where to go, and so they just curved, like basically like, yeah. I had an S-shaped curve. I forgot the exact degrees, but it was one of the worst ones like ever seen. I went to several different surgeons in several different states. Living in Michigan, I think we tried a few in Michigan, some in Ohio, before somebody told us about Dr. Lawrence Lanke, who happens to be the best spinal surgeon ever. He was located in St. Louis at the time. So after I got done with 9th grade, that summer we moved down to St. Louis to get me prepped for this really big surgery. Every growth spurt that I had growing up as a kid, the scoliosis would curve worse and get worse, and it got to the point where none of the surgeons would take me. One of them called me hopeless and told me I was just gonna die basically because the scoliosis was so bad that like my spine was on like the side of my neck, and I still have like a slight like little lump here where you could see where it was. It was on the side of my neck, so I had like absolutely no neck. Like my head was like tilted past like my shoulder, and I had to use I usually put like a fuzzy sock or something right here so that my skin wouldn't like erode or like be raw like from it rubbing against my head. It got to the point where my body was like distorted, like my ribs were like past my hip bone. Like it was so weird looking. I can barely like describe it, but I want to like add pictures throughout this video of all that. So my lung, it was crushing my lungs. My lungs were also compromised, and now for the rest of my life I do have restrictive lung disease because past the age of 8 they weren't really able to grow. Well, one of them, because it was being so smushed by the rest of my body. It got to the point where I couldn't gain any weight because I was working so hard to breathe that it was constantly burning off all my calories. So before I got the surgery and I moved to St. Louis, it was like a huge process. School was always really rough for me. For the most part, like a lot of people, I went to a really small school, so a lot of people were understanding, but I would get bullied too, you know, like especially mostly by like immature guys. I didn't have like a lot of guy friends or any of that thing to talk to. I was always kind of left out. Like I was never allowed to do sports, and I used to really be interested in sports. I was in choir and theater, but because of the breathing and it hurt so bad just to stand for like 5 minutes or like walk anywhere, like it was horrible. It was hard. I couldn't really like do anything that like every other kid could do, like gym class, sports, games, like even just standing in choir to sing a song for too long got eventually too hard for me to do. So it was almost like I couldn't really do anything. I was so curved that I would choke on my own food constantly or drinks because of my neck, and like it just like messed up my body. Once I moved to St. Louis, Dr. Lanke immediately had me start with halo traction, which is they put nails in your head. I still have some scars. Right there. And then there's 2 in the back here and 2 in the back here. So they kind of like shave the bottom of your head, which sucked. He had me start with halo traction. That basically is like a big, I think it's made of titanium, like the nails in your head and then like a halo around it. and then it had like a rope, and you'd put sand weights on the back of it. And the idea was to like slowly like pull like your spine like straighter, so that when you went into surgery, it didn't like snap or like shock you, or like, and also like, because I mean, like, it's a muscle, you have to like slowly, it helps a lot. And with like most cases of severe scoliosis, you are put in a halo. I also had a G tube at the same time as the halo, which is a tube in your stomach. So I would eat normally on like a high calorie diet throughout the day, and then I would get fed overnight. So I was constantly like sick, like feeling like crap, because I was like constantly eating in a sense, and I just like never really felt that great. Constantly on traction. The only time you could get out of it is to like shower, but you have to sleep in it. We had to work out and do physical therapy in halo traction. You were never out of it, and it was so uncomfortable. Sleeping was literally impossible. It was like a constant headache, and I had that halo for months before the surgery and even after the surgery. It was something else. Then I did that for a while. I met some really cool people. I was at Shriners in St. Louis at that time. I'd wake up early every morning, eat breakfast. I would do respiratory therapy, physical therapy, like 1 to 2 times every single day for like each of those. Like inhale traction, running on a treadmill. Like, you had to keep your body like strength, like your muscle tone up. Couldn't like get weak, because it's like, it was a serious surgery. I met a lot of kids there and made a lot of like lifetime friends, and like there was people from everywhere like there for Dr. Lanky. Like, we were all in St. Louis. Like, I was from Michigan. There was another family from Georgia. There was another family from Alabama, like Mississippi, everywhere. Like, this man, like Dr. Lanky, is just like god of spinal surgery. It was a really amazing, because you also were going through such a hard time, like being away from home and like all your friends at such a young age. Like, I celebrated my 16th birthday in there. Like, it's hard, and to have other people with you like going through the same thing, like the same surgery, like it really helps a lot. Honestly, I might get emotional. But like, those people are people that I will never ever ever forget. Like, so months went by leading up to the surgery. When I finally got my surgery, I had been working so hard at everything to make sure that it would go well. I did everything right. I had the surgery, and I got a lot of correction out of it. I went from 4'9" to 5'3" overnight. By the time my surgery was scheduled, I had gained like, I went from like a 60-pound 16-year-old to like 80 or 90, I believe. It was incredible. The only bad thing is I did die during the surgery twice. When they went to unintubate me after surgery, my lung collapsed. It went into shock, and my CO2 rose severely high. Apparently, like, my eyes were rolling back, shaking, flatlined for a few seconds. So got reintubated, and then I was okay. Then, when they went to unintubate me again after time, my lung collapsed, flatlined, wasn't breathing. Wasn't expected to make it, honestly. My mom told me that sometime after that they were asking her about like burial directions for me. Apparently, like, a lot of people were there. The friends we had made, a lot of people were very concerned. My surgery lasted, I could get the exact time from my mom. Obviously I was unconscious, but hours on end. It lasted for a very long time. So the second time that I flatlined and I wasn't breathing, Dr. Linky actually was performing surgery on one of my friends that